Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Glossy Philosophy. My name is Jansen Binman and today you are tuned in for a bubblegum pink lip look. So stay tuned. I've already washed my face and prepped my face with skincare, so let's get into the first step of makeup, which is always going to be color correction. So I'm going to start with the Bobbi Brown Corrector in Bisque, and I'm just going to use my ring finger, and this is going to help kind of warm up the product as we are placing it underneath the eye. A little bit of this product goes a long way. It is very creamy when it is the correct temperature. You can also use a brush as well for a little bit more precise application, but there is something magical about either finishing with your hands or just putting it on with your hands that happens with this product as well. And you can see that Bisque just really blends into my skin. It does have a slight orangey tint to it, so I wouldn't want to walk out with it only. I would definitely want to follow in with a concealer. So I'm going to jump into concealer. This is the GIORGIO Armani 4.5. And we're just going to make sure that we have really nice clean skin. And I'm going to go in with my Duo Fibre Brush. We are going with kind of a bubblegum pink lip, kind of matching the shirt today. And we want to make sure that we get that lip on before we really get into the eyes. But I do like to have a clean complexion when I'm doing more of a lip look first, so I can see what else I need to do to balance out that lip. Okay, I am going to go in and do my eyeshadow primer though, just so that it has a little bit of time to set, and I will also go in with my Charlotte Tilbury Rock and Kohl in a moment as well. So this is the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base, and I know it looks like I'm pushing or pressing really hard on my lid, but I am just really lightly gliding my finger over the skin. This is such a silicone-y based eyeshadow primer that it just really does glide over the skin. However, the skin around your eye area is so thin that it does kind of look like it's being messed with a lot more than it actually is. So now I'm going to go in with that Rock and Kohl, and doing this early on just gives everything a little bit of time to sit and settle down. Little dashes along the upper waterline, and it just pops that lash line a little bit more and creates that nice contrast between the whites of your eyes and your lash line. All right, going back into complexion, going with the pump on the back of my hand from GIORGIO Armani foundation in the same shade 4.5, and just really quickly working from the cheek area and blending that out to the rest of the face. I do like to do the big sections first and then start to work towards the center with my chin area. My chin area can kind of get a little red sometimes, so it's nice to be able to go in with maybe 1 or 2 swipes. And then just making sure everything's nice and blended in. And because the weather is starting to warm up, it's kind of nice to do that Bobbi Brown trick of smushing, using your hands to smush. Her words, not mine. Smush the foundation products all together. So just really quickly working on the forehead. Your forehead is one of the first areas that you show signs of aging, so I don't like to put a ton of product in there, even when it's as good as the GIORGIO Armani, because sometimes it can get caught in those fine lines, and nobody wants that extra, like, hey, I have fine lines signal pointing to their face. Same around here. by your smile lines. Just make sure that that is nice and blended and almost like sheared out a little bit. I'm just going to grab a little bit that's left on my hand and bring that down, not spending too much time onto the neck, to make sure everything is nice and blended. I do have quite a bit left on my hand, which I always do when I use the Duo Fiber Brush. I think that is just a testament to using a really fluffy brush to do your foundation. It just makes your skin shine through instead of putting on additional product that you may or may not need. So now I'm going to take my fingers and just really lightly make sure that that's just nice and pressed into the skin. We don't want to press too hard because we don't want to lift off all that work that we just did. But a little bit of pressing is a great idea to lift up any excess and just make sure everything's nice and blended. Going in with my Lisa Eldridge highlighter, just in like a Pac-Man style on the outer part of the face of the bone structure, and wiping down my brush very quickly on the towel that I have just down here off camera. Going back in, and again, just kind of blending out those edges, bouncing my brush as necessary, and then going in with my middle finger. And again, just making sure that everything is speaking to each other. Okay, we're going to let that kind of dry down a little bit, and I am going to go in with the precision powder with my pale yellow powder and just kind of set underneath the eye. As the weather begins to warm up, I don't feel the need to really powder everywhere until it starts to get really warm, and then we just need it as like shine control a little bit more. So just focusing on where the lights, where like either the oils are peeking through from the skincare or where I can just see any shine through the center of the face. Especially underneath the eye, if it's shiny, then any fine lines and wrinkles, any puffiness is going to really pop forward. When you mattify it, you flatten out that area and are able to kind of walk around in a filter, which is so lovely when you struggle with puffiness underneath the eyes, as I 100% do. Okay, now we're going to do the brows with my angled brush into Brun and Sandstone, always starting towards the middle, outer middle, I would say, and just kind of working, again, very quickly with these two colors and filling in any gaps that I have naturally. Going in the same direction as the brow hair is growing and touching the skin, and then kind of dragging while I'm lifting off at the same time. Almost treating my brush like one of those brow pencils instead of just laying it down flat, doing more of these motions like that. Okay, now we're going to go in with the lip. So the lip today is Lisa Eldridge Luxuriously Lucent Lip Color in Rosy Shell, and then we're going to top it off with Charm. So both of these, as you can tell, are super bubbly pink, and we're just going to go for it. April is such a fun time to play with those pastel spring colors. This is not dipping your toe in. This is full force bubblegum pink territory. But I love it for blues, whites and creams, maybe some browns, and of course anything that is kind of in that bubblegum pink. It just plays really nicely with all of those things. This is definitely a blue undertone, so if you put it with something warm that you're wearing, it's not going to read as well as something cooler. So keep that in the back of your head. Okay, So now we're seeing what needs to be balanced. So we do need just a little bit of color on the cheeks and just a little bit on the eyes, because this nice bubblegum pink is really brightening up the face and really, you know, taking the lead, which is exactly what we want. So before I do the cheek, I always like to do my eyes, and I'm going to mix Kid and Sandstone. But first I'm just going to go in with Kid on my 201 BK Beauty brush, working on that outer third and then brushing up right into that socket and then bringing it up a little bit higher if you have the lid space. Doing the same thing on the other side. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with my Sonia Kashuk tapered crease brush. And now I'm going to dip into both of those colors and really focus on that outer third. I am going to be doing a winged liner because I think doing a wing liner kind of cuts through the sweetness of the bubblegum pink, and it says a little bit more grown up, or it reads a little bit more grown up than if you were to just go in with like a soft eyeshadow look. Then I'm just going to bring in whatever is left on my brush onto my lid. Same thing over here. Not spending too much time. Then I'm going to use the side of my brush instead of the tip and go in with vanilla and just add a little bit of brightness under the arch and a little bit of brightness on that inner corner. And you can see it just adds just a little bit more dimension to the whole look. Okay, now we're going to go in with Stila Stay All Day. It's always a good idea to just shake it up a little bit. The eyeliner, or your life, you know, whatever, or makeup. So we're following that lower lash line. We're going to do that little triangle. And I'm just doing little dashes right along the lash line. And I'm just going to go about to the middle of my lid. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm following that lower lash line. Getting my little wing. And just little dashes right to the center, because I'm going to switch it up and finish with a gel liner. But this way you get the longevity of the liquid liner, and again you get a little bit of that black which cuts through the sweetness of the bubblegum pink. So I'm feeling like I want just a little bit of a longer wing. So I'm just really lightly going to start drawing that. Yeah, nothing too crazy. Just a little bit longer. We do have a little bit of a retro vibe going on right now. So I think that works really nicely, especially with the pink gingham. Okay, switching back to the angled brush that I did my brows in and going in with a little bit of chocolate shimmer. So just kind of saturating my brush with that. And I'm going to start in the center of the lid, kind of where I stopped with the liquid liner. Go forward to that inner corner, and then I'm just gonna go right on the top of that line and kind of soften it up a little bit and also create that nice cohesion. So same thing on this side, starting in the middle pulling forward. And then going back and filling in. And again, it just creates a slightly softer line than doing the entire liner in a liquid. Okay, we've done our powder, we've done our lips. We need to finish off our eyes with a little bit of mascara, and we are absolutely going to use our DIOR primer to really pump up these lashes. So making sure that we've got enough product on our lashes where we can actually see the white of the primer. If you can't see the white, I feel like you're just being a little bit too delicate with the primer, because the difference is quite astounding when you put on the proper amount versus when you don't. Not that it should be like a complete matte white, but you should be able to see a little bit, because you want to make sure that you cover that up with your mascara. Plus, it's just giving your lashes this extra coat. Without worrying about getting spider lashes like holy Hannah. Whoa. Okay. Second lash line. Then we'll do our bottom lashes and finish complexion. And then we are done. I spend most of my time on the roots when I'm doing the mascara, and then just wiggling up and making sure they don't have any clumps at the top. We don't want clumpy mascara. Okay, that is done. Now we're gonna go in with a little bit of blush. We're gonna do blush first with blush powder brush and the mineralized blush Sweet Enough. I'm not a huge blush gal, so I like my blush to be very subtle. Okay, now we're gonna go in with our bronzer from NATASHA DENONA on our BK Beauty bronzer brush. And just really quickly doing those nice ovals under that cheekbone, and then onto the cheekbone. Again, not spending too much time because we spent most of our time doing the wing and making sure that everything's nice and balanced. Always pulling it down onto the neck a little bit, but never so much that it looks like you have a beard. Have seen that before. And then any extra, just kind of blending those two things together. I do remember reading at some point a few years ago that JLo's makeup artist does blush and then bronzer, and honestly I like how it sits on the skin a little bit better. I feel like when you put on the bronzer after, it really blends that blush in really beautifully and looks a little bit more natural than when you do the blush last. So just kind of a insider tip for you. And that is the finished look. Thank you guys so much for watching this really fun Rosy Shell inspired look. I think it's really a great time. April's a great time to play with pastel colors and some brighter lip colors before we reach that full on summer glam, summer makeup, and all of that. So Rosy Shell is kind of the perfect April color, especially with your blue tone colors like pinks, whites, if you have any cool creams or any colors like that. I do fashion videos every Wednesday, beauty videos every Friday, and on Mondays we're tackling very specific things in either fashion or beauty. So hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye!